Hello, this is Mark Denham. Thank you so much for watching. If you are indeed watching today, we are back in Adobe Audition. Now, I must say, I had intended to do more videos this week, but things have just got away a little bit this week. We're just going to move the microphone a little bit better so I can see the screen, and hopefully you can still hear, which is good. Now, what we're doing today, if you own an internet radio station, then you will be aware, if you stream by Shoutcast, you will be aware that you can either opt in to run Shoutcast ads, and these ads are monetized, which means that you will get money to your own feed from the adverts. Alternatively, if you stream direct through Shoutcast, it may very well be that you have to schedule these adverts. Now, on Shoutcast, the adverts are 2 minutes long, and they are handled by Shoutcast themselves. What you do is you put into your log, you put files that are named advert and advert. So those are the tags that have to go in them. Shoutcast will then receive these ID tags, and they will trigger the adverts to play in that 2 minute gap, which is good if there is an advert for the market in which somebody is listening. So if you're streaming in the UK, perhaps there's no relevant advert for the UK, so nothing happens in the UK. But if you're listening maybe in America, then perhaps there's a relevant advert for that market, and then the adverts will play in that 2 minute slot. What that basically means, though, is for your Shoutcast stream that you have to have something in those files, whatever it is in those files. Maybe you have a piece of audio, just a short song, or maybe you have an advert of your own that may or may not run. But the problem with internet radio is global. You see, local radio, you can sell adverts to local businesses, bakers, restaurants, tyre shops, etc. National radio here in the UK, you can sell for national companies, you know, like carpet shops, DIY stores, etc., etc. With internet radio, though, you could be listening in, you could have listeners in London, you could have listeners in Hong Kong, you could have listeners in New York, and therefore selling adverts is quite tricky because of the market. Advertisers want to advertise to a market, and that's why selling adverts on internet radio can be a little bit tricky. But what you have to do then is, if you let Shoutcast handle your adverts, they will sell adverts on your stream to listeners in relevant locations. You will have these files in your logs, so your software that runs your station will schedule these files into your log, and as long as they're titled advert and advert as the ID3 tags for artist and title, the adverts will trigger where appropriate. What that will do, though, potentially, is if there are no adverts available for your stream, it will leave you with 2 minutes of absolute silence, and as we all know on radio, silence is the worst thing that could possibly happen. Now, how I do it on my radio station, atomradio.co.uk, is I will put in there fillers, which are big songs that we play on the radio station, and I'll have 4 of those over a 2 minute gap, and then if there are no adverts playing in that advert block, there's still something on, and it's an advert for the music that we play, and people may be listening and think, yeah, I like that song, I'm going to keep listening. Oh, I like that song, I'm going to keep listening. That's how I do it. So that's what I'm going to show you today, is basically how I do it. Now, I mentioned the other day that I do have many templates set up here in Adobe Audition, and that's what we're going to use for this. So we'll go to the multi-track. We will call it Adverts May, because that's what they'll be. That's when they'll start going out. We'll use the template Atom Adverts, open it up, and you can see not much is happening in the template. These are just the little bits that go in between the songs. So if you can just have a little listen.
Broadcasting from Slough, streaming around the world. This is Atom Radio.
And then this one will go between the first song and the second song. So that's basically it. That's what goes in between, and we have a riser there to denote the ending of the first song. You get the end of the first song to be the first beat on that explosion in there, and then the start of the next one also on the first beat, and then they line up. Because there is a riser in between them, and because it's aimed at adult contemporary, it doesn't have to be beat matched, which it would be, say, if you were doing this on a young person station like, say, Kiss or Capital, you'd ideally beat match them so they were done exactly. Doesn't have to be like that, because this is adult contemporary radio, and they're not listening, to be honest. They're not listening for the beat matching. So what we need to do now is we need to pick the 4 songs that'll go in the first block. Now, I rotate 8 of them because I have adverts running at 20 past and 22, which means those 8 will then be reheard every 4 hours, which is not unreasonable. So what I'll do is I will have 4 in each one, and then we'll mix them all down. And while we're here as well, we'll talk about the template that we're using. You can see we have channels for Music 1, Music 1B, Music 2, Music 2B. The reason for Music 2 is you can see that there is a reverb on there. So if we're going to end the track a little unnaturally, we can just add a bit of reverb on, wash it away with reverb. Nobody will then ever notice the difference, and it sounds quite good. This one, you can see, has a lot of processing on it. These are the voiceovers.
Broadcasting from Slough, around the world. This is Atom Radio.
You see the difference it makes with the effects on and off. So you can let me play this to you.
Broadcasting from Slough, streaming around the world.
And then we'll do it again without the processing.
From Slough, streaming around the world.
Sounds very different, doesn't it? So there's a couple of voice tracks. This one should in fact be named actually Simon, who is our male station voice, and Fazana, who is the female station voice. She comes in over here, and again you can hear the processing.
Playing the best music from yesterday, today and tomorrow.
You can hear the processing there on Fazana. And again, if we just listen to that without the processing, you'll hear the difference.
Best music from yesterday, today and tomorrow.
Massive difference. That's why there's processing on these tracks. Then the sound effects tracks. These are where the risers come in. And then basically what will happen is if we scroll down here, you will see, if we scroll down in the session, they all just feed into the master. Because they're all processed individually, each track, there's no need for buses on this. Now, I do have other templates that have buses. A bus is where you aggregate many tracks, and then you can process that bus. So if you were to have, say, 10 vocal tracks, and they all had the same processing, what you could do is you could aggregate them into a bus. And the way I use buses in other templates is aggregating tracks together for processing and for ducking. In this one, there is no ducking. It's all done here natively in each track and then just sent to the master track. So if we open these up, you can see that they all just go output, master, master, master. So let's close those down again so we can see what we're working on. What we'll do, I keep the library in iTunes for ease of use so I can have a listen myself, is we need to pick the first track. Now this is Adult Contemporary Radio. If you do have an idea, you can stick it in the chat of what you'd perhaps like to see in the advert. If you want to stick it in the chat, that'd be absolutely lovely. You don't have to, but you can if you want. So let's see what we can do then. We're looking at a first track, and do you know what? I can just see here Abracadabra from the Steve Miller Band, which for some reason is in iTunes 3 times, and I must admit my iTunes library is not the most organised in the world. What it is it's where I've got, you know, maybe I've ripped the single originally when I started computer DJing. I've ripped the single originally, and then perhaps I've got an album and I've just ripped the entire album, and sometimes it does get duplicated. It's a huge library. Thankfully on the radio station though, it's all working okay on the radio station because the library is better curated there. So what we'll do is we will solo this track first, and we will have a listen. Ideally you're looking for the hook when you're doing this. The hook is the chorus, the catchy bit of the song, the bit that people will remember. So that's ideally what we're looking for here, is the hook. So we'll zoom in and we will find where the hook starts. And what we'll do is just so you can hear me over the music, is we'll just quieten this down a little, I think, in Adobe Audition. So if we scroll across, we'll go down and we'll just quieten Adobe Audition just a little so you can still hear what I'm saying. But kiss me, baby, let the fire get higher. There you go, there's the start of the hook. So what we'll do, we will cut that there. So we place our mouse head, Control and K or Command and K if you're on a Mac will cut. Then we will drag that back to the start, take it off of solo so we can see where it goes. If we zoom right in now to the end of where Simon starts speaking, then we can put that there because that's where we want it to come in. Drag it back to the start, and we know because the playhead is where Simon stops speaking, that's where we want the music to be. So what we'll do is we will fade it in nicely so it just comes up where Simon is speaking, and off we go. Let's listen to the start of our little mix.
Broadcasting from Slough, streaming around the world. This is Atom Radio.
And track 1 is off and running. I can't play you too much of that, otherwise we're going to hit trouble with copyright, so I can't play you too much of that. Because we've got 4 and it's 2 minutes, we're looking for around 30 seconds on each one, so we need to find an ending that's near 30 seconds on this. There we are. We'll take it there. 28 is close enough to 30 for me. There we are. That'll do fine. So, count the beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. There you are. So you want to end on the first beat. Logically, you think if it's 4 beats, why would you not end on the last of the 4? You want to end on the first beat. That's just a kind of an unwritten rule. So you want to end on the first beat. So we've got the playhead where the first beat is. We can drag that across to there. And what we will do is we'll come back and we'll wash that out when we've finished it. So that is that now. So that's lined up okay. Then we can just Control and K or Command and K if you're on the Mac, and we can get rid of that. Now we have 2 options on washing it out. You can see that I've got the 1 knob filter on here, which will apply a kind of a whoosh and just drag away the sound. What we could do alternatively is we could drag beat 1 down onto the next track and we could wash it away with reverb. We'll try both, but if you just listen to the end here, and hopefully I can play this amount without getting a copyright warning.
You make me hot, you make me sigh.
You can hear the riser coming in. So there we are. That's the first track. Now we need another track. If you want to comment on the track, then you can let me know what you'd like to see in there. If you would like to comment songs that you think would be suitable. Adult contemporary radio this is, so we're aiming at people between say 25 and 55. So if you're going to suggest something, you know, like hip hop that's '1 right now, it may not fit on this radio station that we are working on right now. So that may not be the idea. We'll go back to this, and I'm thinking that we will go with Duran Duran. And is there something I should know? Okay, so again, stick it on music track 2 this time. We'll stick it on music track 2, solo it out, and we'll find the hook again, which would be the chorus. Here it comes. There you go. There's the chorus. So we'll just get that. That will be beat 1. Delete that. Control K. Delete that. We've done a shift delete, so it puts it back to roughly where we were. Now all we need to do is line it up carefully with what's beat 1 here. And if we do that, now don't forget this will still sound rough because we're not washing away that first track yet. Okay, so we're not washing away the first track. We'll do that when we've finished. So we can wash it away when we finish, but again now we're looking around about the minute mark here for a suitable ending in this track. So if you're looking around the minute mark, just go back a few seconds. Doesn't matter if it's a few seconds under or a few seconds over. The last one was 28 seconds. Technically we've therefore got 32 with this one. Now we could end it there. Could end it there. That's beat 1 there. And that, to be fair, that'll do for me. That's left us 5 seconds short, but we're going to make that up later on. So we're going to cut there, Control and K, and cut. And then what we need to do is drag these 2 across so the explosion comes on beat 1, which is where we've just cut. So there we are. Track 2 now done. Again, you can hear the riser coming in. And then we need another song. So again, we're looking for another song now to fill this advert block. There's 4 in each one, and as I say, I do around 8 of them. So we're looking for another one. Off the top of my head. Now, I'm going to think off the top of my head. If you do have any suggestions, then you can, if you want, drop it in the comments if you fancy. We'll go with Dusty this time. Dusty Springfield 90s song, done with the Pet Shop Boys this was. So again, we're looking for the chorus. Long introduction on this song. Here it comes. Now, Dusty starts singing before beat 1. This is beat 1. Wouldn't make much sense to do it there because you're missing the start of the chorus. So what you need to do is you need to go back and find the one before. There you are, beat 1. So find the one before. That would be my suggestion here. Find the one before, cut it, delete it. Now line it up again to beat 1 of Duran Duran. So if you line it up, we'll get the playhead on our explosion. That's beat 1. That should go there. Now remember, we've not washed it out. We've not washed it out. We've not done any processing or anything yet. We will do that, but... And we're off with Dusty. There are some other things that we will do once we get to the end of this, but again, we're now looking around about the 1:30 mark to find the ending of this song that we're looking for. We'll solo this so we don't hear the riser that's already in the template. We'll find out where we can end around 1:30. That'll do. That leaves us 34 seconds for the last one. The last one has talking over it, so I'm not too worried whether the last one is a little bit longer. As long as it is exactly 2 minutes, this will do what we need it to do on Shoutcast when it comes to triggering the ad. So, cut it there on beat 1. Move this across so it matches now with where beat 1 was. And there we are. Take that off of solo. And you will hear in a minute. We will find out exactly how that sounds. We need one more song for this now. One more song, and I'm struggling to think. This is the problem in doing this. Technically, I don't mind doing it. I've got the hang of the Adobe Audition. As I say, I've already set up the template. I've got the hang of doing it, but it's just knowing. It's just knowing, isn't it? How to get it together, you know, like the songs to pick. That's the tricky part, I think. That's the tricky part. I'm feeling for some Oasis, I think. Let's go with some Oasis. I don't know why, but I'm feeling for some Oasis. So we will drag that in there, like that. Solo it up. And we need to find... Beat 1. Cut. Now if we shift delete this time, because we lined up the start of the file to the marker, if we shift delete this time, that should now, when we go back, be on beat 1. It's close. It's close. It's not quite perfect. It is close. I tell you what's not right though. What's not right is the explosion is slightly out. That's what's not right. Oasis is right. I didn't quite line the explosion up right. So there we are. There is the final track in now. And we're into Oasis. So we get to the end now, which will be exactly 2 minutes. Now, as I say...
Today and tomorrow.
As I say, this doesn't matter so much now because it's going to be exactly 2 minutes. Or 2 seconds. I don't want 2 seconds. I don't want 2 seconds. I did my bits wrong there. I want exactly 2 minutes. Cut that. Done. That is exactly 2 minutes now. And theoretically, that's that done. But that's not that done. I'm not going to save those because I know where they are. If you're creating music files for these from all over the place and you think you're going to want to go back and edit this session, it may be worth saving those into the session folder. So then when the session opens up, that's where they all are and you know where they are if you need to look for them. First thing I would suggest now, select everything, right click on everything, match clip loudness, match to -16 LUFS. Okay, it'll just take a minute, and what you will see will happen now. You can see it's done already. So Steve Miller Band down 4.7 decibels, Duran Duran down 2.63. I can't quite see what Dusty Springfield says because it's just come across the green there. But Oasis massively loud, down by 6.13. That should now give us a more uniform volume here in the audio. So as we go across now, and again. Now, there are 2 ways. I'll tell you what I'm going to do actually, because it's very bad practice not to. I'm going to save this session. So Control and S, I did just save it, didn't I, a minute ago? So I don't know, I'm getting overexcited. There are two ways, and I'll show you the two ways that we could do it here. So what you could do is you could take that, Control K, Shift. If you hold down the Shift and drag it down, then it will not move in time. It will only move up and down vertically and horizontally. If I drag that left or right, I cannot move it because I'm holding down the Shift. So I can reverb it away. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to put it back and I'm going to rejoin it. What I'm going to use is I'm going to use the Waves one knob filter to just wash it away. So what we'll do is we'll go back. Beat 1. Because we've already got these envelopes on here. To get those, what you do is you click on Show Envelopes. One knob filter stereo filter. It's already showing on here, but that's how you do it. If you add an effect in the multi-track, if it does have the option to be able to be adjusted, then you can you do it using these automation keyframes in the Adobe Audition multi-track. We'll drag at the end. We'll just click after there so it goes back up to where it should be, and we'll drag that down. So now you'll hear it whoosh away as it comes towards the end of this song. There you go. If we just solo that now, you'll hear the effect that that Waves one knob filter has. There you go. Done. That's track 1 done. We can do the same now with track 2. As I say, there we are. There's the last beat. So again, you put a point in here at the start, put a point after the end, and then you drag it down to 0. So the Waves one knob filter is having its maximum effect where this is at 0. Here, it's having no effect at all. You can hear the audio, clear as anything, but if we solo this again, you'll hear the effect. And then we're ready to go into Dusty Springfield after the explosion. So you can hear the transitional effect that has. And we're away with Dusty Springfield again. We'll do the same with Dusty Springfield. Now that's quite a slow song, that one. So it's quite a long beats and bars there. Take it from there. High point, low point, wash it away. Off with Oasis for the last one. Now what I would do with Oasis is I would wear our voiceover lady, Fazana, who is very good at this, I must say. She is actually fantastic and has a brilliant voice at this. What I would do if I was you now is I would wash it away and more gradually, again an ending point, and I'll show you why there's an ending point in a moment, but you put an ending point here above where you're going to finish and then have it washed out just before the 2 minutes. So if we listen to this now on its own, you can hear it definitely washing away there with the one knob filter from Waves, which is fantastic. All you need to do now, if you hear what happens here, the riser comes in. Here comes the riser.
Playing the best music from yesterday, today and tomorrow.
This is Atom Radio.
I would maybe just be tempted just to just drag that out a little further so it's right at the end of the track, and maybe just put a little envelope fade on here at the end just to make sure it's gone. So again, it should start going as the voice starts.
Playing the best music from yesterday, today and tomorrow.
This is Atom Radio.
Done. And that's exactly 2 minutes now. That is it, exactly 2 minutes. We're all done, and that's it. That's how to make these things. Now, as I say, I have 8 of them, and I'm pretty sure you're not going to want to sit here and watch me decide on all 8 of them and pick all the songs and go through and repeat the whole process. So what I'll do now is I will save this session, and I'll show you what I would do if I was going to carry on. Control and A will select all. Now, bear in mind when you do this, okay, you will move, when you do this, you will move the tracks and everything. you will not move these automation key points. You see here, these automation key points, they are set in time. That's one downside to doing it this way, is these automation key points are set in time. So if you go back and decide, oh, I just want a bit more of the Steve Miller Band, so I'll drag this across, drag that across, shorten that one, then your automation key points will be out of sync. So that's why I've done the automation key points last, to make sure, because they're not going to move with anything that I move. Those automation key points are set in the timeline. So by selecting all, if I now right click on this and go dragging across, because I want exactly 2 minutes, I'm going to start it at exactly 3 minutes. So we'll put that there, right click, let go, copy here, we're done. If I move the playhead to exactly 3 minutes now, then all I need to do is drag all of that here now to exactly 3 minutes by clicking in here, dragging to 3 minutes, select it all. So if I drag this now, so it starts bang on the playhead, which is exactly 3 minutes, then I know that if I go exactly to the end, it will be exactly 5 minutes. That will then be how I know that there's 2 minutes. What I'll do from here, because I'm not going to do this one because it will bore you, you can see the automation keyframes are here. If I played the end to this now, we're back to where we were.
You make me laugh, you make me cry.
No automation, so it doesn't sound as neat or as tidy as the transition does here.
You make me laugh, you make me cry.
Now again, what we'll do, if we were going to go on and do this, we'll just select these for now. Delete those, we can go back, we can select 4 more bits of music, we can move everything around the same way we did the first time. When it's done, match the clip loudness, because then it's going to sound uniform, and these volume settings in my template certainly will then work for everything. So when it then gets mastered out, it will sound good. Once you've done the match clip loudness, again you go back in, you put these volume keyframes in. So if we've done this, for example, and already changed the songs, you just do the volume key points again as we did, last bar, after the last bar, and then on the very one, drag it down. That's it. If you look at the master, there is a bit of mastering on there, just to make it all sound uniform. 50% loudness maximizer. Do be so careful with this, because remember, anything you put through radio is going to go through some form of processing. On my internet radio station, it is my station. I've set up the processing. I know exactly how much compression there is in the final output. So if I go above 50%, double compression sounds absolutely awful. It really does. If you go above the 50% there, for me, it won't work. If you're going through an FM radio station, you go through a huge multi-band Optimod compressor, probably even less loudness maximizer if you're going on FM or DAB. Unless you know the specific settings, then it's better too little than too much, because double compressed or over compressed audio will sound terrible. It's not ideal. I'll just give you a quick demonstration of why you should never double cross audio. What we'll do is we'll just take what should we do? We'll take a new multi-track session just for now, and we'll use none, so it's got none of the processing on it. And if we take let's say that we'll take Oasis and Live Forever. That is Oasis Live Forever raw. That's how it sounds raw. So if we go into track 1, let's say, and we'll put on a multi-band compressor. We'll go for broadcast, which is the closest you can get, I would say, to an FM Optimod compressor within Adobe Audition. There are other ways you can do it. You can do it via the single band compressor, brick wall limiter, you know, you've got vocal attacker. There are other ways you can do it as well, but we're going to get rid of that. Okay, so now you can hear the difference.
You got and grows, 'cause I just wanna fly lately.
More punching. If we wait till it really kicks in here,
Wanna die, baby, I just wanna breathe, baby, I just don't
you can hear the difference it makes. So we'll put that on there, and then what we'll do is we'll go down to the master. Actually, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that slightly differently. I'm going to take that off of there, and I'm going to put on the mastering effect on here. Okay, so special mastering. We'll go to the default, And then we'll just add 50%, let's say for now, mastering. And we imagine that this is our end product that we've created from those little jingle things that we've just made up. We'll go down to the master, simulate that this is going out on broadcast radio, multiband compressor, broadcast, done. Okay. So we've got 50% mastering, and that loudness maximizer is in itself a compressor. We've got the multiband compressor. Now, if we were to boost this up to 100%, you can hear how heavily compressed it will sound then, going through double compression. Now, in all fairness, Oasis doesn't sound too bad, but if you've got a heavy, bassy dance track, it will sound absolutely terrible. It really will. So the thing is, in my template there, I've gone for 50% loudness maximizer on the master channel, just so everything is kind of like neatly leveled out, and that's why I've done it. But as I say, I know the output processing on my own internet radio station, which is why I'm happy with 50%. For you, just be careful. If it's going on FM radio, I would suggest you keep it under 50% and just a light touch of mastering. The other effects in the mastering, if we go back to our we'll go back to our advert session here. The other effects in the mastering you can see. With this, I wouldn't bother. Reverb. I don't think you want the music reverberating all the way through. That's ideal. If you're mastering voice, then just a tiny little bit of reverb makes it sound fantastic. The exciter will boost the top end trebles. Again, if you're mastering voice for imaging, that's a great idea, but probably not something you want to do if you are doing this, because bear in mind, the music will already be mastered, probably more heavily in these days than it was with an older song. The music will already be mastered, so just be very careful what you do with it. Widener, that's the stereo effect. If you put it on 0, then it just comes as standard. The further you drag it up to the right, the more stereo sounding it drags the audio out to be. If you move it to the left, it ends up sounding mono. Loudness maximizer is the compressor. That is what boosts the low signals, drops down the high signals, and by that I mean like the volume, not the frequencies, the volume. It will lower down the more loud bits. It will boost up the quieter bits. So just be careful what you do with the loudness maximizer. And output gain is set at 0 because, as you can see from here anyway, we are peaking at -1 dB anyway, which is absolutely ideal. You never ever want to go above 0, so we don't need any output gain on this. We don't need to add, we don't need to take away, and that's it. That's how you do these. I have got 7 more of them to do, so they can go out from Monday next week. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this has been of help to you. Stick a comment below if it has been helpful, and if there's anything else you'd like to know, then as I say, stick a comment below. I'm sure we'll do more of these again, but thank you for watching today. I'm going to go and do my other 7 now. If this is something that interests you, good luck, have fun playing with it. Thank you so much for watching today, and I hope, as I say, I do hope it's been helpful.